Welcome back, ESL, as we are doing continuing our off-season testing, and we are at Twin Ring Motegi for some oval, oval practice session in the Indycar. The teams have made their adjustments. In Indycar, there are no switching of tire compounds. For oval, it's just one tire. We'll have 10 minutes of practice, then a 2-lap qualifier, and then a short practice race. .307 had some speed the last time for having a new team. Our first driver scores a time 27.650 of the 32 of Northern Lights. The track is at 101 degrees with 7-mile-an-hour winds, as most of the cars are out on the track. The 125 of low fuel, second on the board, about 2/10 slower. The 307 Motorsports is third on the board. Now it's low fuel first on the board. They barely beat out Northern Lights. Lost City moves up to second. We still have about 6 minutes to go. There's quite a few cars that still haven't turned a full lap yet, so they have not scored a time. And there's 307 once again on top of the board. They're about 1/10 faster than low fuel. And the Brew Crew moves up to second on the board. Yes, we still have about two or three more cars that need to put a time. Now the 45 of Lost City, he is on top of the board. These times are extremely tight, 1 through 3. Five minutes to go. The 45 is still on top of the board. Then it's the 40 of 307 and the 9 of the Brew Crew. In fourth is the 299. Make that fifth as Ani moves up to fourth from Lost City. is up to fourth, so they're sitting at first and fourth right now. 2 cars in the top 5. And we still have 1 car, I believe, that has not turned a lap yet, and that is the 307 Motorsports. Well, we'll see what type of time this car can put together. And now Northern Lights moves up to third on the board as Britain is third on the board. Now Ani moves up to second on the board. You have to factor in as well in this practice session that cars can draft off each other so they can pick up some more speed. It might not translate over to the qualifying run. But nonetheless, they have some speed. Now it's Ani on top of the board. Him and the 45 of Cherry. They're 1 and 2. Then it's the 40 of 307. Then Northern Lights, then Brew Crew, and Low Fuel. As we have about 2 minutes left. The 32 of Sawyer, he moves up to 7th on the board. Well, these lap times are extremely tight here. We'll see how the qualifying shakes out. But teams have made adjustments, so they are trying to figure out how to get just a little bit more speed. But Lost City on top of the board, 1 and 2. And now Northern Lights moves up to third on the board. As it seems like some cars are picking up more speed the deeper we get into this practice session. Now 307 moves up to third with 1 minute to go. The 006 of Sloth Racing, he moved up to second. So a last minute lap here, and he moves up to second. So Sloth Racing showing some speed here in the practice session. The Lost City still on top of the leaderboard as the practice time has expired. And Lost City leads the way in the practice session. And then it's Sloth Racing, 307 Motorsports, Northern Lights, Brew Crew, and then Low Fuel and DOG. As we get set for some qualifying here. Let's see if Lost City can stay on top of the leaderboard here. It's just a car by itself on the track. There is no drafting in practice. Cars can draft off each other, get a little more speed. But here's all up to the setup of the car and the driver. You can tell so far some of these teams that made some adjustments, you can tell the difference it has made. But right here is the true indicator here, depending on how quick you can be during qualifying and during the practice race. As Ani's going to cross the stripe. And right now it's low fuel on top of the board. 1 and 2, then Northern Lights, third DOG. Will these times hold? The track has cooled down a few degrees. As they cross the stripe, and it's Northern Lights on, oh, DOG. DOG on top of the board. Then it's Lost City, then it's low fuel, then it's Northern Lights. Then it's 307. So DOG leads the way with Slava in that car. 27.103 was the quickest time. But I'll be back in a minute for the start of the race. And we are back and getting ready to get this practice race underway. As we are going 45 laps around Motegi. It's just enough laps to see how your drivers react on worn tires. If this was a regular race, you're looking at about 49 to 56 laps on fuel. So this is pretty close to a full fuel run here. But you have Slava was on the pole. Then it's Ani second, Lotus third, Rhett Sawyer fourth, Mitchie fifth, Bill Cherry sixth, and Iwisi seventh. As the green flag drops and we are underway. Let's hope it stays clean so everyone can see how well their drivers do. As we already have a little bit of side-by-side action. Lotus Lee's gonna take the lead away from Slava. The track continues to cool down. When we first started to practice, it was at 101. Now it's down to 94. It's going to create a little more grip on the track. Lost City is third and fourth. So they have 2 cars in the top 5. There's the 32 of Northern Lights. He is currently in 5th. Then we have cars going 3 wide around the last turn. As we have a battle for the lead, and Slava takes first away from Lee. There's O'Brien from 307 Motorsports. He's currently in 8th. Reese's there. He is in 7th. At the tail end of the field is the 79 Odeon from DOG, but they also lead this race. Teams are just, they're really putting together the best possible builds they can put out in the track. And this is the time to take a flyer on things and see if something works. There's Merle from the Brew Crew currently in 11th. Brew Crew right now is 6th and 11th. Up next will be the next gen as they are at Watkins Glen for some road testing. Slava in the lead, and he has pulled away from Lee. So DOG bringing some speed to the oval track for Indycar. This is definitely going to be a challenging series for teams and drivers. Especially when we have a full field out on the track. So much can happen. So let's do a rundown of the teams of where they currently stand. And DOG is first and last. Low Fuel is second and 9th. Lost City is third. Third and 4th. Northern Lights is 5th and 13th. Brew Crew 6th and 11th. 307 is 7th and 8th. And Sloth Racing is 9th and 12th. Reese currently in 10th. Right behind him is Merle of the Brew Crew, the 006. Of Sloth Racing. He had a decent practice, just not a great qualifying. You see his last 2 laps there on the lap time log there on the right of the screen. As he has lost some time, laps 10 and 11, but picked up a little bit of time on the 12th lap. In this graph, you would want it to always stay green. That'll show you how consistent your lap times are. But Slava with a 1 second lead over Lotus. As we're just about 15 laps in, still got a little ways to go. There's Ani of Lost City in their third and fourth. They're the only team with 2 cars in the top 5. This team has definitely been up on the up and up. They're this will be their 3rd season in. It takes a little time to figure things out. Some teams kind of click, sometimes they don't, but it just takes a little time to try to figure out what works best. You know, the longer you're in the league, the more data you have on the builds that you create, and you'll start seeing kind of what works and what's not working. So for the two, we have 2 new teams. Actually, 1 new team. It's Loft Racing. This is their 2nd season. Even if you don't see the results right now, just keep grinding. Things will line themselves up eventually. But it's all about data gathering. You know, some of these teams have been in the league since the beginning. They've learned the ins and outs of their builds, you know, how to progress their builds during the season. I mean, you also need a little luck as well during the season, but if you could just have a build that's pretty consistent, you don't have to be in a top 5 every week. If you could be top 10, top 15, you'll be all good. There's the Brew Crew in 6, holding steady. As everyone is mainly single file. 20 laps in, almost halfway through. There's Dougie from Sloth Racing currently in 9th. Slava with that quickest time, almost 27 seconds flat. That is flying. He is flying around the track. This is also another team they're due, man. Dave Cart's been getting faster and faster every season. Slava has a 1.5 second lead, a little over 1.5 seconds. You also have to understand that some builds, they don't translate from road to oval. This is one of the most difficult series because you just don't have oval every week. You don't have road every week. It flip-flops every week, so it's extremely difficult. even for the season teams, it's very hard to find consistency. Otis Lee from low field in second, holding on to that second. You see he got 2 laps in the green, 2 laps in the red. So about half of his laps are good laps. The other half are not great. But it's not bad. That's kind of what you want. You want to be kind of consistent. If you could get 3 laps in the green and 1 in the red, that is fantastic. But now tire wear definitely coming into play. Slava still holding on to a 1.5 second lead, but he is slowing down. Look at those the last 4 laps all in the red. So his times are slowing down. Let's go through this top 10. Slava first, Lotus Lee in second, Ani in third, Bill from Lost City in fourth, 2 cars in the top 4, Rhett in fifth, Aaron sixth, Mitchie seventh, O'Brien eighth, Dougie ninth, and E Weezy rounds out the top 10. Now those last 2 laps are in the green, so that is good for Slava there. Now the last 3 laps are in the green, and that's what you want to see. That's how you can tell kind of the consistency of your laps here. So that lap time log there is all green mainly, and that's what you want to see, especially later in. We're already about 31 laps into this run. As we look at Lotus Lee's, he's got 2 laps in the red, 2 laps in the green. You just don't want to see all red. But the top 4 have definitely pulled away from the rest of the field. The 5th place car is about 4 seconds back from the 4th place. As this practice race is winding down. Only a few more laps to go. It's 12 laps to be exact. And unless Slava makes a huge mistake, he will be winning this practice race. He's been holding steady with that lead, about a second and a half. He hasn't pulled away, but he's been consistent. That's what you need to be. On Friday for the schedule, it's Road America, which is a very long road course. So we'll see how drivers do there, and that'll be the last practice session. And then next week, hopefully, if all goes well next week, we'll be submitting builds. But I'll keep everyone posted on that. Just a little bit behind. I gotta finish the schedule before I open up the driver build forms. So that way teams can kind of evaluate the schedule and kind of decide what build they're gonna go with. So I have to get the schedules out first before we submit the builds. And Slava has gained 0.3 of a second. He's almost got a 2-second lead now over the 125 of Lotus. As we have 7 laps to go. If this was a full race, we would have like 2 pit stops. And teams would have 2 sets of tires, a set of tires they start the race with, and only 1 more set for during the race. And 1 stop basically would be a fuel stop. There's Ani from Lost City in 3rd. As they also have brought some speed to the oval. Look at his last 3 laps in the green. He has totally pulled away from his teammate, the 45. So the top 3 have completely separated themselves. As we have 4 laps to go here at Motegi. And if teams are going to do adjustments, just remember you have until tomorrow night to get the adjustments in. And look at the 73, 4 green laps. Seems like he's gaining a little ground on a 125 of Lotus. Lotus holding that 2nd spot down. But DOG on top of the board. Still a 1.5 lead. Slava gets the white flag. This is the last lap here at Motegi. As he comes out the last turn. CJ Slava wins at Motegi in a practice race. Great performance by DOG in that car. Low fuel in 2nd with Lotus Lee and Lost City fourth. Lost City third and Lost City fourth. Northern Lights fifth. Brew Crew sixth with Aaron. Mitchie 307 Motorsports in seventh and eighth. Sloth Racing in ninth with Dougie the 54. E Weezy in 10th, Low Fuel. Burrow in 11th with the Brew Crew. The 006 of Sloth in 12th. The 84 of Britain in 13th. And Odeon rounds out your top 14. But it's been a great practice session here at IndyCar. Up next is the next gen. Like always, thank you for supporting the league and the stream. I will see you guys next time.